Hello everybody, how the devil are you? This is Sirhc for Sanitarium.FM with another review. This one is for Insomniac Games' Spider-Man for PlayStation 4. Now, when I first heard about this game, my spidey senses were tingling in anticipation of something special. Well, I hope that's what the tingling was. I'll book in a doctor's appointment when I finish the game. So, let's start off with the briefest of histories about the character. Spider-Man is one of the most famous superheroes ever created. I would have to say top 3 most well known, along with Superman and Batman. But since Marvel has been cranking out box office shattering blockbusters for 10 years now, superheroes are at an all-time mainstream acceptance level. But Spidey is still one of the most well loved. Spidey, just like Supes and Bats, has over the years been in countless comic book series, animated shows, live-action movies, and video games, some of which have been terrible, and some quite good. Much like The Dark Knight, the Web-Slinger has been in some truly awful games, but after years of virtually unplayable throwaway garbage games, Rocksteady Studios managed to make a character-defining series with their Batman Arkham games, so the hope is that Insomniac can do the same for everyone's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. After all, they are working on a stronger base, with some of the previous Spider-Man games being quite fun, and with the character being done right on the big screen over the past few years. A cameo in Captain America Civil War, solo film Spider-Man Homecoming, and the ensemble film Avengers Infinity War, all nailing the character's tone. The time is right for people to embrace the wall-climbing vigilante. And the company bringing this new game to us, none other than Insomniac Games, the creators of the iconic Spyro the Dragon and Ratchet & Clank series, as well as the Resistance series, Sunset Overdrive, and Song of the Deep, among other smaller projects. So now comes the big questions. How does the game play? And most importantly, does it live up to the hype? Well, let's start off with the obvious. The game looks nice. Like, really nice. Even moving at high speeds, there's a lot of clarity in the digital streets of New York, and it feels like a living, breathing, digital world. I played on the standard PS4, and even over remote play with my terrible internet connection, it still looked amazing. There were some hiccups, but they were entirely down to my awful internet. Playing it directly from the console, it runs smoothly and looks great. And with the PS4 Pro, with its increased specs, it'll look even better. Another thing that's apparent right away is the humor and pop culture, specifically Spider-Man pop culture references. Humor has always been integral to the character, and the quips fly just as fast as the webs, as well as some cleverly placed references and Easter eggs. Even just the difficulty selection, your choices are friendly, amazing, and spectacular. Friendly being one of his catchphrases, just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and both amazing and spectacular being the titles of long-running and well-received Spider-Man comic book series. Which makes me wonder if there will be an unlockable ultimate difficulty. There also appears to be a stack of comic books in the opening scene that includes a classic and iconic Spider-Man cover. Story-wise, the game is fairly basic. You start off helping out the police to take down William Fisk, aka Kingpin, swinging through the city and into one of his buildings and beating up a bunch of goons as you go. Some of you might be wondering where this game falls in the tangled web of Spidey's history. Not sorry for that pun. Not one bit. And the short answer is, despite Peter Parker's appearance looking quite similar to the actor Tom Holland, who portrays the web-slinger in the MCU, Spider-Man is a standalone story. However, it is scheduled to tie in with an upcoming comic series, with a series titled Spider-Geddon, written by Christos Gage, who also worked on the game, and has confirmed that the series takes place after the events of the game. The opening mission with Fisk also serves as a nice introduction to the game, as it is one of those rare, fun tutorials, teaching you how to use Spidey's abilities, mainly his webs and hand-to-hand combat, but he also gets a focus meter which allows for some extra tactical options, as it can be used to heal Spidey or take down thugs. The combat in the game is fast, frenetic, and super smooth. They really captured the agility of the wall climber, being able to spring around while throwing punches, kicks, and of course webs. Spidey also has his famous spider sense, which can be used to anticipate and avoid incoming attacks. This is a very handy feature, and will need to be used quite frequently, as very early on you'll find that just jamming on all the buttons has its limits. You need to work out who is the biggest threat and which skills to use, and you have a lot of options. For instance, you could approach a group of thugs, launch one into the air with an uppercut, follow them into the air with an air combo, then use your web to grab them while they're still in the air and slam them into another enemy. Then as you land, Spidey can dodge through the legs of another enemy, fire some web blasters to wrap up a gunman, then use your web as a grappling hook on another, launching yourself over to punch that guy, and then combo into the guy you wrapped up, sticking him to the wall, then dodging onto the wall and launching off to take down the last enemy. And it all feels incredibly satisfying. And that's just with the skills you start off with. As you play, you can level up and gain upgrades like improved swing speed and health increases, and you get skill points that you can use to spend on skill trees, increasing Spidey's arsenal of attacks. Along with fighting thugs and swinging around, you can also explore the city and find collectibles, minigames, and events. The minigames include things like match the frequencies and create a track to send electricity from one point to another. Fans of the Ratchet & Clank series will recognize that one. And the events come in the form of crimes for Spidey to stop, which generally involve beating up thugs, but they can range from stopping an assault, which ends in beating up thugs, to locating a kidnapped person, which ends up in beating up thugs, and even taking down a car filled with thugs, which you beat up, but in more of a quick-time event instead of just brawling. In summary, there is a lot to love about Spider-Man. The game has a lot of mechanics baked into its DNA from other series. At times it feels like Grand Theft Auto, but with webs, and at times like Prototype, but with webs. At other times like the Batman Arkham series, but with webs. And of course, like some of the good previous Spider-Man games, but with better everything. And it injects some new ideas into the mix as well. Insomniac are like chefs. They started off with some nice stock, the Spider-Man character, and added the finest ingredients from the competing and former recipes, stirred in some special seasonings of their own, made sure it all blended together with no unexpected and unfitting flavors, and created one of the best game meals I've ever had the pleasure to eat in quite a while. I had a blast playing this game, and I would love to be playing it right now instead of recording this. It's actually not an exaggeration to say that this is the best superhero game I have ever played. So with that in mind, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 and get right back to playing it. One last thing before I go though. When Spidey is around innocent civilians and no criminals are in sight, the function on the attack button is swapped out to make Spidey salute, wave, and do finger guns to his fans. Just another little attention to detail that shows Insomniac knew what to do with our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's it from me. Let us know what you think in the comments. Be sure to stop by the Sanitarium.FM Discord for all things music, gaming, and pop culture. Ciao for now!